Hey. Okay, this is a very impromptu live. Normally I don't do impromptu lives, but I'm gonna be sharing some cool stuff. And I wanted to share because I'm just trying to find myself so I can check comments, right? I just wanted to share the coaching call that I just had this morning because sometimes we get our ass kicked in the arena, and today was one of those days for me. So I wanted to share that with you and what it really looks like. I can't find myself, so I'm assuming I'm live. Well, give me a sec. I am live. Okay, perfect. So let me just go through this. Ta-da. Right. I'm going to invite a few of you who I think probably right about now are people who may want to hear this one. Okay, so let me know when you are live. And I'll be here. Yay. Okay, cool. So we've invited a few people. Let's get started. Thanks, Karen. I'm excited to see you. So impromptu lives, I don't do them. Two reasons. One, it's difficult for people to get here, and if they don't know when the live is going to be, that can always be a complete pain in the ass. And two, honestly, I don't always have, I like to plan out my content. I like to, think about what I'm going to say before I say it and come in and do something that is ultimately going to add as much value as you or to you as possible. But I wanted to share something with you guys today because I just had a call with my coach, and as you know, hired him because he's somebody that is very good at looking from that outside perspective, and looking into the business and saying, okay, this is the problem. This is where the problem is. And recently in my business, I may not have been massively talking about it in here, but certainly I have been in the dotties. Hey Claire, how are you, my love? Certainly I have been in the dotties about some of the goals I've been setting for my business, and they've been really, really big goals, and I've been working really hard on them. And I wanted to share exactly what kind of happened in my coaching call today, because I think it's quite important. So anyway, one of my big goals, and usually this is the kind of live stream that I would be sharing in the dotties, just as an FYI. So this is the sort of thing that normally I'd be sharing in there because it's a super safe environment, whereas this is a little bit more vulnerable. But push out the comfort zones, all that jazz. Anyway, I got onto the coaching call with my coach today, and I said, and he said, how's it going? I was like, yeah, life's good. I'm glad you're enjoying the podcast. I said, life's good. You've launched the podcast. And he said, oh, how's that going? And I was like, yeah, it's good. And I started talking. We were talking about my message, because right now I'm trying to do lots and lots of different things. And we were talking about the fact that I'd kind of migrated slightly from being just a sales coach into more of the leadership arena, and that people were coming to me and asking questions about leadership and things. And anyway, as the conversation progressed, I was saying to him, there's something that I'm just not getting. Something just isn't clicking for me. And he was like, what do you mean something isn't clicking? And I was like, well, I'm doing all the things that you say you're doing, and he was saying to me, Jess, you need to post more on your page. And I was like, I do that. And he was like, you need to be, you need to show your vulnerable side. And I was like, well, I do that. And, he was like, okay, well, you need to be controversial. And I was like, well, I do that. And so I was one of those really annoying coaching participants today where I was like, look, I don't want to be rude, but I do all of that stuff. I was like, and people just aren't seeing it. I was like, I don't get it. And he's like, well, okay. So he came into the group, and he had a bit of a poke around, and he said, why don't your audience love you? One moment. I'm a really ugly crier. But anyway, so he said, why don't your audience love you? And I was like, wow, that really stung. And I said, well, they do, and there's all these posts. And I was like, look, they do. There's all these posts here and there's all these people, saying that they do. And he was like, well, not being funny, Jess, but if they did, when you ask them to share this podcast, or when you ask them to do these things, when you ask them to take the simple actions in their business that would help them, they would do it. And I was like, well, that stung. And it did, right? Really fucking hurt. Because I know, and I do, I love all of you guys, and I know that you love me, and I'm like, oh, that's lovely. But it really hurt, really hurt, because I was like, oh, ouch. And that ultimately is what I pay a coach for. I pay a coach to, make me cry. But it's a hard one, isn't it? Because when we look at it, and to be clear, this isn't about my ego. I'm not, I don't assume in a group of 1,900 people that everyone has to love me. But what really frustrated me, and I think what I've been seeing online with a lot of my clients and with a lot of my dotties and things like that, is the genuine frustration that people have when they say, I just want to help people. I really want to help people. And they just don't want to help themselves. And this is what I said to Dan. I was like, look, I have this huge mission. I genuinely, cheesy as it sounds, I really want women to succeed. I really want women to do well. And I really want everyone in here to take action. And I've always said, you don't have to buy from me. You don't have to invest in me. You have to invest in the right things for you. So I don't ask people to buy from me. I don't ask people to help me that often. And when he said, why don't people love you? I was like, I was a bit upset because, it's quite an upsetting thing to hear. But also I thought it's because I don't ask for help that often. And so because I don't ask for help that often, it means that when I do, people just kind of brush it off and they're like, oh, okay, cool. Well, Jess has tons of people in her audience. She has tons of people on her email list. She has tons of people who go and review her podcast. So I don't have to. And if everyone thinks like that, the reality is that nobody actually ever does it. And it made me think, wow, one of the things that I've really learned is that actually, because I don't ask for help, because I don't remind people to do things, because I feel like, I'm like, oh God, if I send out another email reminding people to go and, leave one review on a podcast, they're going to feel like I'm really chasing them. And actually, that's the wrong way to think about it. And it's the wrong way to think about it because I would say to my clients, well, you're not bothering them at all. I promote my clients all the time. I promote my dotties all the time. I come into this group, I show up here, I support people in here, I answer questions in here every single day. And honestly, there was a part of my ego that was really, really dented when I was like, wow, I sent out a couple of emails asking people to share my podcast and to review it, and people didn't. Right? And I have to admit that. I have to be open about it because otherwise, another one of the things that Dan said in our coaching call today, and I, FYI, did not cry on my coaching call. I was like, okay, I've got this. Was that my life looks too perfect. I've been accused of that many times. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Take it on the chin. And I thought, well, yeah. And I said, I get it. I was like, I get it. But ultimately, I was also like, well, I've worked really fucking hard to make my life what it is. And so, yeah, from the outside, I'm sure it does seem pretty perfect, because for me, it is. Told you, ugly crying. And that is how it is, because I worked my arse off for 3 years to make that happen. I didn't wake up one day with the perfect relationship, or with the perfect business, or any of that. And, you know, when people say, oh, it's perfect, well, yeah, it is, because this is my life, and I created the life that I wanted. And that's the thing. So when I post on Facebook or whatever, I'm posting on Facebook things that I'm like, oh, wow. You know, because I wake up every day, and even when I'm having a shit day, like even like today when I'm like, oh, you know, later on I'm going to be feeling pretty crappy, right? Even when I wake up and have those days, I look at everything else in my life and I go, I'm so lucky. You know, I am lucky. Even though Sam's like 7,000 miles away, there isn't one bit of me that thinks, oh my goodness, you know, I'm not lucky. Because every single day, even when he can't text, even when he can't Skype, I look at it and I go, he really loves me. And I have so many people, and I have so many people in my tribe. I wake up on my birthday, right? Sam wasn't even here. And I had so many cards, and I had so many messages from people in my community I absolutely adore. And I was like, yeah, my life is perfect, right? My life is, I'm so lucky. I have a family who loves me. I have a Sam who loves me. I have a community who is fantastic. And you know what? Today's coaching session really did hurt. Not because I'm not doing the work, right? And I think that's the thing. That's what I want to share with everybody. It's like, it's not because I'm not doing the work. You know, it's not because I don't know how to scale my business. It's not any of that. It's that I am doing the work, and I'm showing up, and I'm showing up for people. And I genuinely say, I'm really disgustingly snotty. So I'm really sorry. I'm like, oh, trying not to have snot everywhere. But it felt today during that session like I was showing up for my community and they weren't showing up for themselves. You know, because really I don't care about the podcast reviews. Yeah, right. Do you know what? I am a bit pissed about it, because I'm like, I launched a podcast and my ego's taken a dent because people couldn't take 5 minutes to leave a review. Okay. You know, and honestly, if I'm honest, as a person, did I look at that and go, oh, well, am I upset? Like, am I upset that I promote other people and that they couldn't be bothered to do that for me? Yeah, okay. I'm a human, right? That's part of being human. I'm going to feel all those things. And then on the other side, I'm like, do I also know how busy it is to be mid-launch and to forget to promote something for someone? Do I also know how busy I am when I'm like answering a ton of client emails and I have a ton of stuff to do and I forget to send that one thing back? Yep. Because again, I'm human, you know, but it hurt. And I wanted to share that with you, not because I was like, I want all the love and hugs, although, you know, I'm seeing from all the comments, right? I'm like, thank you, because I do love you all, and it means a lot. But I wanted to share that because that's what coaching is about, right? It's not about getting on every session and crying. Lucky for Dan. Otherwise that would be awkward for him. But it's about looking at things. Sometimes it's not that you're not doing the right things. Sometimes being coached is hard. Sometimes being coachable. Today, for me, being coachable was really hard because listening to those things, listening to that outside perspective hurt, right? And some of the things that he said, he was like, oh, this is the first time I've really heard you be passionate about your mission and why you do what you do. And we've had like 3 calls or something. And I was like, okay, literally, I've just given up. I've just wiped snot on my hand. I'm not even going to go there, okay? I have snot on my hand. I'm going to wipe it on my leggings. Like, I will then change my leggings and I will put them in the wash, right? But sometimes, you know, that's what coaching is about. It's about pushing you outside your comfort zone. It's about making you see the things you don't perhaps see. And when somebody tells you that you've spoken to them for approximately 4 hours and that they didn't know what your mission was and that it was only when they really pissed you off, that you're like, well, actually, this is what I stand for, and I'm really kind of aggro that that you don't see that, because it's not on Facebook every day. it was hard, and so I wanted to let you guys into that, because normally I'd have just done this in Dotties and I'd have been like, hey, look, being coach is really difficult, and sometimes you go to a coaching session and you leave and you feel amazing. You're like, I have tons and tons and tons of notes. I have tons of things I can now go away and implement. I have tons of things to do. And sometimes, like today, you come away and you go, okay, there are things that I've been doing that are really, really good. And there are also a lot of things that I have to work on, and whether that is that I have to go out into the big bad world and be even more vulnerable, or whether it is that I have to go out and I have to share more, I have to, do whatever I have to do. I'll do it because I want to put the work in, because I've always been committed to my business, because I've always been really committed to making it happen. But I show up in this group every day, and I don't always see every woman in this group doing that, right? And I'm not saying that we all have to come on a live stream and cry, because, depressing much. But what I am saying is that it really hurts to get feedback when you're doing the work and when you can't figure out what's not even what's going wrong, but what's not doing the thing that it's supposed to be doing. And it's hard when it's vague, and it's hard when you can't pinpoint an exact strategy. And it's hard to take feedback. It's hard to take feedback, especially when that feedback isn't, oh, I love you, you're great, and da-da-da. And ultimately that isn't what I pay Dan for, so all good. But it is about doing the work, right? I can't want it more than you guys do. I can come in here and I can, share this really vulnerably and share and say, look, actually, guys, you know what? I do struggle, because I come in here and I give you support and I give you advice and you don't take it. It's fine. Whatever. Like, that's how I should feel about it. I should be like, oh, okay, cool, that's fine. Like, whatever. If that person doesn't take my advice and they don't get the results they want, it's on them. But I don't take it like that. And I know that a lot of my clients don't take it like that. I take it and I go, I feel bad for that person. I feel bad that that person isn't going to have the success that they want. And I try again and I'm like, okay, maybe I can word it differently. Maybe I can say it differently. Maybe I can get through. But ultimately, I can't want to do the work for everyone, because I've tried. Like, I'm trying really hard. And that's what I was saying to Dan, was that I'm not, and that's a good question, Karen. Is it about being heard or the participation? I don't know. Like, I know that my message is going out there. I know that people are hearing it. The fact that people don't want to own their success should be up to them. I'm certainly not judging anyone for the work they do or don't do. But what frustrates me is that people say, oh, it's just not working. And I'm looking at myself right now and I'm like, I'm looking at the comments that I've had this morning, and the way that Dan he did have to be blunt about it. He did have to go, well, Jess, I'm not being funny, but, if I went out to my community and I said, hey, guys, I've launched a podcast or whatever, could you leave a review? He's like, people just go do it. He was like, because they love me. They're part of my journey. They want me to succeed. He was like, so if your community aren't doing that, then all I can say is that they're not bought into you. They it's not they don't want you to succeed, but it's that they aren't prepared to show up for you. And there are two sides to this, right? One is, there is a part of me that thinks that's unfair, because I know everyone in this community and I know how supportive everyone is in here, and I massively appreciate it all the time. Please never ever think that I don't appreciate the way that you show up in here, that you ask for support in here, that you give so freely to others. But there was also a part of me that was like, wow, yeah, okay, I get it, because I buy into people and I share their stuff. Or I'll do whatever I possibly can, even for people that aren't paying me, right? And I was just like, yeah, that did really, really sting. And it reiterated for me that, yeah, there are, exactly, Alison, there are people, I can help the people who want it, I can't help the people who need it, right? And it's not about, oh, Hannah, don't feel bad. Like, honestly, if you haven't reviewed the podcast, don't feel bad, because really the overarching thing here is not, I'm really upset that that people haven't reviewed my podcast. Like, really, that's not that's not upset, right? The thing is, and I was saying this to people yesterday, because I do every quarter I like go through with my dotties, and we have one-on-one calls and all that kind of stuff, right? And I give without expectation all the time. And I say that to people, I'm like, give without expectation, give without expectation, give without expectation. And the biggest thing I realized from my coaching call this morning was that I preach giving without expectation. I do give without expectation. But there was that one little part of me that was like, oh, maybe just this time I reached out for support and I asked for it, and maybe I asked for it wrong. Maybe I didn't make it clear how much I wanted it, or how much I really wanted to make something happen, or how important it was to me, or maybe I didn't bring people along on the mission, and I didn't make everyone feel as involved in my mission to make everyone here successful. And maybe that's why people didn't do it, right? And there was a part of me that went, so in that case, Jess, you did have an expectation. There was a little part of you that was like, oh, fingers crossed, people will review it and that will really help me hit my goal. And if I'm totally honest with myself, maybe that is the bit that hurt, because somewhere along the line, instead of giving without expectation, I gave and I had an expectation, right? I don't believe he's right. Your community is the most engaged. Yeah, exactly, right? I think maybe you didn't make a big enough deal about it to let everyone know it was important to you and that it was a big step. Exactly, right? I didn't show up for me. I showed up for everyone else, and I didn't show up for me. I didn't make it clear. This is really important to me. And this is, in my British reserved way, this is me saying, please, could you help me out? Right? I didn't do that. And that's on me, right? It's not on Dan for pointing it out. It's on me for not doing it. Yeah. Hannah, people are so busy and overwhelmed. Exactly. It's not a reflection on you. It's just how busy we are and always doing a million things that things can drop through the net. Exactly. And I get it. I do. I absolutely understand. And I've talked to so many dotties over the last few days who felt like this with their community, right? Who've said, Jess, I'm giving so much and I feel like people aren't showing up. And I'm like, I hear you. And so I wanted to let you know publicly that I do hear you. It isn't about whether you have a small community or a big community or tens of thousands of people, right? But this morning, I felt like shit. I did. I don't wake up every day with the perfect business or the perfect life or anything like that. I feel like I do because I'm so lucky. I've worked hard. I've worked so bloody hard, but I am so lucky to have my community, to have Sam, to have my mum, like all of those things I'm so lucky to have. And yes, I've worked for them. Yes, I've put in the energy. And that's why I know how frustrating it is when people come to me and they go, but Jess, it's not working. I'm doing the work and it's not working. Because this morning I had that exact same coaching session. So please don't think that you get to a point where that stops, where you're like, oh, okay, everything's just perfect and it's all just fine. Because that doesn't happen. I sat there this morning and I was like, I don't know why it's not working. And, was I coachable? I said the right words, right? If I'm totally honest with myself, I'm like, yeah, okay, I can do that. I'm fine. Yeah, no problem. Because I was so desperate to get off the call and just come in here and be like, actually, I'm not fine. I'm not fine. I feel like I put in a ton of work and I did all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, okay. Awkward. And I didn't want to say to, my coach, who I respect, I I'd sat there and I'd been like, I do all that stuff. I did all this, like, improving the points. Here's this post. Here's this thing I did. Here's that, da, 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 right? And that ultimately is why it's frustrating. Because sometimes you have those calls, sometimes you have those moments in your business where you're like, I'm doing all the work and I don't know. Like, you're like, I don't know why it's not doing what I want it to do right now. I don't know. Do I know that this afternoon I will have mastermind calls with the people in my mastermind? I will, have dotty calls, that I will be creating content. I'll be doing all the stuff that will make me feel better. Absolutely. But sometimes you have to let go and go, do you know what? Right now, there's like a million things, and I can only focus on one. Yeah? And right now, my focus is on, okay, I can't want it more than my audience do. I can come in here, I can, and Dan was saying this to me, he's like, you could be inspirational, you could show people your life. I'm like, I do that. I can. Like, if people want me to show you my life, I can show you my whatever I do on a daily basis, right? I can come here and I can put in income reports and I can show you how much money I earn. But ultimately, that alienates people too, because then, people think I'm perfect and I have a ton of money. It's a hard life. I can come in here and I can pimp my pain for profit. And that was one of the things that he was talking about. He was like, people like emotional and they like vulnerable. And that's not me. I'm sorry. I'll be emotional and I'll be vulnerable if there's a learning lesson, but I'm not going to pimp out bad things that happen just so that I can make an extra sale, because that's gross. Doesn't feel good. Ultimately, none of them were bad suggestions. And this is the thing, right? Coaching isn't about somebody having all of the answers, right? And today I needed all the answers. Today I woke up and I was like, I just want a map. Like, I just want to understand why I really want to take my business to this level. And I just want somebody to tell me, do X, Y, Z. I didn't want somebody to tell me, well, I don't know why it's not working. And you're doing all the things. And it was hard because I was like, oh, that's what coaching is about. It's not for somebody else to find the path. It's for me to go, okay, breathe. Let's look at me. Let's look at what I'm doing. Let's look at the work that I'm doing, both on the inner stuff and on the outer stuff. Right? Exactly. Right? Focus on what flows. It is what it is. But I wanted to come in and share it with you, not because I want to pimp my own pain for profit, not because I particularly wanted to snot all over my own hand and cry live, because, there are more embarrassing things I've done. Charcoal face mask yesterday was total embarrassment. But I wanted to share that with you because, like I say, usually it is something I'd share with the dotties. Usually I would be like, hey, dotties, I'm having a shitty day and this is what it looks like. And I realized that, actually, hard as it is for me to know that there are a ton of people in this group who'll watch it and be like, oh my God, the ego on Jess, wanting people to review her podcast. It's also about the fact that, you don't wake up every day. You don't wake up every day knowing exactly what to do. Not everybody has the exact plan, right? Exactly, Hannah. People say this to me all the time, you're doing all the right things, and it can be so frustrating. It's so honest of you to share it, as it's super easy for us to think it's just us who feel this way. It's everyone. Everyone. I promise you, everyone feels like this. I promise you, everyone has this frustration. I promise you, everybody has a day where they feel crap. This is my day. I'm like, I'm going to wallow in this because right now, I have a couple of hours. I've got a couple of mastermind calls to do. And I'm going to remember, this is how it feels. Sometimes it is frustrating. Sometimes you are doing the work. Sometimes you are writing the right post. Sometimes you are putting it on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and every fucking where. And it doesn't do what you want it to do. And sometimes your coach is going to come back to you and say, okay, go do this, 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 this. And sometimes your coach is going to come back to you and say, okay, what do you think? And that's where, you know, ovaries of steel kick in, because right now what you're seeing is the Jess who I probably wouldn't normally share, who is the kind of like Jess who will genuinely, after this live stream, go make a cup of tea, put on, you know, I don't know, Celine Dion, because it's probably about as like depressing as it can get, and I will have a little cry, right? I will have a little cry about it, probably a big cry. And then later on, I'll be the Jess who puts her big girl pants on again and says, okay, let's give it another go, right? Claire, do you think what your coach said was fair, Jess, or too harsh? I think it was fair. Not everybody can be as blunt as perhaps he was with me. And not everybody needs a coach who has that style. I do. You know, I'm somebody who's very, very honest with myself, and I am my own harshest critic a lot of the time. You know, I am the person who'll be like, I've done this and it's crap, and I've done this and it's crap, and da-da. And I needed the outside perspective. I needed somebody to say that to me. Had he sugarcoated it, would I have necessarily felt as strongly as I did about it? Maybe, maybe not. Do I think that he knows my community well enough? And, you know, do I think that, you know, there were things that I was like, oh, perhaps if you, perhaps if you're a woman, you'd get it? Yeah, of course I did. Of course I did, because I'm human, right? Like, we all have that bit that we're like, but you just don't get it because you just haven't seen this. And I have it with my clients. I can't be in their groups 24/7. I can't read all their emails. I can't be on all of their discovery calls. You know, so there are bits that I don't see, and there are bits that he doesn't see in my business, you know, from me, from my community, all of that kind of thing. But was he right to say what he said? Absolutely. And part of being a business owner is that I don't get to sugarcoat it to myself. I can lie to everyone else if I want to. I can, you know, I could sit here and be like, no, fine. Loved it. Thought it was great. But I can't lie to myself. As a business owner, you don't get that luxury. You have to learn to look at it and go, what is the reality? And sometimes that's painful. You know, sometimes it is really painful, right? It does hurt. It's not always easy. Being honest with yourself is really hard. You know, is it the best thing? Yeah, absolutely. This morning I ripped off the plaster, Band-Aid, whatever. And this afternoon I get to look at, okay, what do I do next? How do I regroup? How do I move forward? And that's really exciting. But that only happens when you rip the plaster off, right? Do you see what I mean? So I think, yeah, absolutely. Like, some people don't do well with tough love coaches. That's cool. I do, because I know that once I've had a chance to get over this bit where I'm like, oh, I feel awful, and that I will regroup and I will be stronger and I'll be better as a result of it, right? Other people need people to be a bit more gentle with them, and I get that. You know, I do. Some people wouldn't appreciate that style of coaching, and it would trigger them so much that they didn't end up doing anything. That's not a judgment, right? That's not a judgment. You get to be coached how you want to be coached. I just know what helps me perform best, and, you know, ripping off the Band-Aid is the way that I go with it. All right. But yeah, thank you ever so much, ladies. I really appreciate you being here for me today, because it's really hard to ask for help sometimes. It genuinely is. And, you know, I appreciate you being here in my snotty hour of need. But I wanted to show you that you're not on your own. So if there's anybody in here who thinks I'm showing up for my community and I'm doing the work, or I'm speaking the message and nobody's hearing it, it's not just you that feels that way. It doesn't make you any less successful. It doesn't mean that you're not achieving things that you want to be achieving. It doesn't mean that things won't happen for you. Sometimes it just means you need to go, okay, How am I regrouping? What do I really want to say? What's the message? And ask for help. For the love of God, ask for help, and always have the expectation that help will be given. Because, whilst I say give without expectation, absolutely, but when you ask for help, especially when you ask for help in here, know that it is always here for you. All right. Thanks, Liz. Don't be nice to me, otherwise I will blub again. All right. So I'm gonna go away. Gonna listen to some Celine Dion. Right. Thank you, Karen. I appreciate it. But yeah, I'm gonna go away. Gonna listen to some Celine Dion. Have a cup of tea. Regroup, and I will let you know later what comes out of it, because there will be good things that come out of it. All right, but don't feel alone on the journey. If you are experiencing this, if you do feel like this, please reach out. I'm always here, omnipresent, and I will see you later on. All right, have a wicked day, and I will see you later.